Yo, what is going on, y'all? V-Rob here. Today, what we got going on, I'll be giving you guys my viewpoint on certain perspectives from a teenager in the 21st century. Obviously, our generation is viewed as a very weak generation, and a lot of elderly people have said that they have a lot of concerns about us. So basically what I'm doing today is I'm giving you guys my opinion and certain things that I've noticed. It's actually interesting. At school, we hear a lot of stuff from adults or whatnot, or teachers that work in the school, and certain things they say I write down just to get their perspective of our generation. There's been certain things I agree with. There's a lot of things I disagree with. But, yeah, without further ado, we're going to hop right into it. This is just a sound check, by the way. We're actually sitting over there. Without further ado, y'all, let's go. And I think I actually put my finger in that bird poop. But, that's awkward. Anyways, let's go, y'all. And just a side note, this is my first, philosophical weekend post that I've posted since the start of summer. So it's been months, and I'm sorry about that, you guys. This has been a very busy summer / beginning of fall for me with senior year going up. A lot of things that I've been doing in my community, becoming a 1 in 5 ambassador. 1 in 5 is this one mental health company or organization that raises money and creates programs for mental health around Cincinnati. I've been working with Disney and doing some stuff for a post-high school career. But yeah, let's go. Yo, so as cool as this microphone is, the only problem is that the sound quality sounds like I'm in a fishbowl, so I'm not using it for this video. Instead, I'm going back to my Rode microphone. But, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to be talking about today is, like I said, problems / concerns from older generation based on ours. And something that I've strongly noticed, especially throughout high school, especially senior year, is that if you look at so many kids, their screen time on their phones is excessively large. I saw someone on Twitter whose average screen time the past week they posted was close to 12 hours. This is not a joke. Close to 12 hours on their phone. That is half the day. Half the entire day. I saw on someone's IG story today or a few days ago, that the average American spends more time on their phone, has more screen time than hours they sleep each day. Obviously, the hours of sleep needed varies among age ranges, and it should decrease the older you get, is what I've heard, especially going into the 20s, 30s, and 40s, which when you're a teenager, the average or the expected sleep range is actually really high. It's 8 or 9 hours for a healthy lifestyle, and for younger kids, it's closer to 10 or 11. And you look at kids nowadays, they'll be given iPads. Some kids have a phone by the 3rd or 4th grade. Some people have Instagrams at the age of 9. Some people have, Snapchat. I tried to get Snapchat when I was in 6th grade, but I accidentally put in my actual birthday, and I didn't get it till I think I was in 8th or 9th grade. Or, 8th grade. But one of the biggest problems that adults, parents, teachers, bosses, managers have with our generation is that we don't talk enough. We don't have real conversations. And a lot of people say that we're too obsessed with our phones and we don't know how to talk to people. And one thing that I thought of that idea, is that, do you guys remember when we were growing up, when we were in, elementary school, kindergarten, throughout 6th grade, every time we talked, we were always told, stop talking. Every time we would say something to one of our friends, we would say, Vaughn, stop talking to Philip. Vaughn, stop talking to Tanner. Vaughn, stop talking to these people. Vaughn, just be quiet. It's like a shut up and dribble type of method. And I'm telling you guys, we were told to stop talking to our peers at a very young age. I'm talking about at the pre-elementary school, preschool type stuff, yo. We are told at such a young age to stop talking, to listen to the teacher, to stop talking to our friends. And we are told that throughout our entire lives. And I'm only 18 years old. I just turned 18 last week. But you guys got to remember that. We are told our entire lives, before we get a phone, even before we get a phone, to stop talking. So when we get a phone, and that's something we can communicate with our friends without talking, without interrupting people, are we going to go to that method? Aren't we going to go directly to that method right there? And then you just look at this, I'm saying. You hear our bosses, anytime someone talks to an employee, they're working at, we'll say Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or whatever, and they're talking to someone working in the drive-thru, and the boss comes over and says, stop talking, go back to work. Alright, y'all, my bad, I had to go real quick. But anyways, I did switch back to the microphone. I did check the audio, and it did sound pretty good. But what we're going to be talking about now is basically this quick story. So, I was on my way up to Dane about 6 weeks ago for Kanye's Sunday service. I took took my buddy David, and we had a conversation. It was like a 40-minute drive. We talked the entire way up to Dayton at about 5:30 a.m. And we talked about so many different things. We talked about social issues. We talked about mental health. We talked about so many different things. But it was one of the realest conversations that I've ever had in my life. So a few weeks later, I got all the clips from Sunday service, put them on the flash drive, and handed it to him. So stopped by at his crib, gave him a Travis Scott CD because he's a big Travis fan. And we were just talking, and I just told him straight up, like, yo, I just want to thank you for that conversation. It was one of the best conversations I've ever had in my life. And I started talking, and I was like, yeah, our society or our generation is, like, so scared of those, like, one-on-one confrontations and, like, having eye contact and really speaking with confidence and saying how you feel, especially towards someone in a one-on-one type contact situation. And he was like, yeah, that's a really good point. And I mean, you look at our generation, we are so focused on just looking down here and typing. And we just got to remember, we got to live for those type of conversations. If you look at any moments throughout history, any moment in time, whether it, involves, a social movement, whether it involves, anything in companies, whether it involves a political movement, whatever it describes. If there were a group of people involved, that movement was not done without collaboration. Collaboration is one of the most important things, especially in this day and age, in business and music and movies and sports. I mean, you look at the NBA, there's duos everywhere. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, James Harden. It's a team sport in this game of life, y'all. And even just in high school, the best projects are done by collaboration. When there is a group project, there's always that one kid that we see each year that just does a project on its own, and it's not as good as the other groups because there's only one mind working that project. When you have 4 or 5 people working on a project, you have so many different perspectives and so many people that can give their opinion and give their voice on something on a certain topic. It gives you the best overall answer. When people do surveys, they don't just ask one person from a school. They don't just ask one person from a community. When you're voting, the presidential election in the U.S. or any elections in that standpoint are not just asked to one person. Could you imagine if our 2020 U.S. president was decided on one person's opinion? Say they just did a randomizer, like, you know what, we're going to ask Vaughn Robinson. Vaughn Robinson, do you want Donald Trump or the 2020 Democratic candidate to be your president for this upcoming 4-year term? Could you imagine that? We are best when we collaborate with one another. We cannot be scared to voice our opinions. And you look at this day and age, man. I did a project in English class a couple weeks ago, and I'm gonna make a separate video about this. I'll just give you guys the cornerstone of the project. The project was a "This I Believe" essay, and basically the goal. Let me move this share real quick. The goal of this essay was to express a belief that we had, whether it was about society, whether it was about school, whether it was about our favorite food, our favorite football team, our favorite basketball team. It was a completely random, or I wouldn't say random, or a completely large group of topics that you could talk about. Muhammad Ali has done one. Albert Einstein has done one of these. Marilyn Monroe has done one of these. This I Believe essay is actually a very important essay in this country. And they started during the Civil Rights Movement, post-World War II, so around the 50s and 60s. And then they came back after 9/11. So this is something that a lot of people come towards to voice their opinion on something. I did mine on a phrase, which is, nothing in life is promised except death. And what I did, our class was supposed to just make a presentation, or not a presentation, just an essay. They had to write an essay. We had to present it in front of our class. What I did, I wrote an essay, put it on a Microsoft Microsoft Slides presentation. Meaning, like, I made a slideshow of this. So I took out 2 slides of my essay. Then after those 2 slides, I showed pictures of society, people that don't have running water, people that don't have electricity in this world, people that don't have food in this world, that are starving. And my point was, just realize how blessed we are. And it was a very, very vocal presentation. I shared my opinion. My voice got a little high-pitched. I wouldn't say high-pitched, but I started to talk pretty loud. I wouldn't say I screamed or yelled, but it was a very emotional topic for me. We talked about school shootings. We talked about deaths. We talked about we only have 100 years, how quick that is in our time span. And a lot of people just were in shock. They were shook that I was so willing to give y'all my opinion. And the thing is, I talked to people after that presentation, throughout the hallways, throughout school, and they were saying how much they agreed with me. That was one of those perfect examples of someone stepping up, saying what everyone else is thinking, and everyone else is scared to say it. What we got to realize is there are so many people that agree with our opinions or agree with our statements, but they are so scared to speak up about it. That goes back to what I was talking about at the beginning. We cannot be scared to talk to one another. We are at a time where we are so connected, but we are also so separated through social media. You can look at it from both standards. We are so connected because we can talk to anyone in the world in seconds, but we are so separated because we just think that we can talk to each other through this. Yes, I spend a lot of time on my phone, on my computer, because I work on this. This, to me, is not just a play phone so I can Snapchat people and, any of the things I do. This, for me, is so I can make contacts. This is, for me, I can get clips that I can edit when I'm on the road. And it's the same thing with my computer. I use my computer almost 75% of the time for YouTube-related stuff or school-related stuff. I'd say in that 75%, like 95% YouTube, 5% school. But my point is, we should start using these as a tool and not as a toy. This iPhone, when Steve Jobs created the iPhone and he brought together iTunes, Safari, and the phone app. Those three together were all viewed as three separate items. For music, it was an iPod. For phones, it was just a normal flip phone / cell phone. And then for Safari, it was viewed as a Mac or a normal desktop computer. What Steve Jobs did, is that he combined all three of those into one machine. That was, in my opinion, the most important tool that any human has created in the last 100 years of our civilization. Maybe the greatest tool of all time when we're going to look back at this in 500 years. You look at how much that single device, that single presentation Steve Jobs did back in 2007 in California, how much that moment right there, 2009, change our entire culture, our entire society. If you take away that moment, you take away the iPhone 1, our entire culture would look different right now. But we have to remember human conversations. We got to remember there are actually so many people that agree with us and that are willing to support us. But we got to make sure that we stand up for what we believe in. We can't let Instagram or Twitter or anything that that we feel defines us get in our ways of expressing our opinions. I showed this tweet out a couple days ago. And basically what I was trying to do with it is just say, it's such a good feeling when you're doing something and you don't care. It's something you love and you don't care about anyone else's opinions as much as they hate on it. Yes, I know a lot of people get annoyed by me talking or tweeting about Jesus is King. I know my Twitter is not an official Kanye West fan account. But I'm going to tweet about what I love, and what I love about expressing myself, especially in school, is that I know people don't agree with me on a lot of things. A lot of people don't like how vocal I am on certain topics. But I'm going to show y'all my opinion. And when you are willing to break through that wall right there of getting out people's opinions, not caring about what people think about you in a negative way, I think we should care about people that think of us in a positive way, because we have to have a team. We have to have a team to do things, like I said. But if you're willing to break through that wall and realize the only thing that you have to fear is God and not anyone else's opinions, that is when you can be free. That is when you can be free. So keep expressing yourselves, man. And when I'm talking about our generation, we aren't the ones that created this. We're always told to stop talking. You can't talk right now. Stop talking to your friends. Stop talking to the person you're sitting next to. So then, when we get in our teenage years and we got this in front of us, we're constantly on here not talking. And then we get hit like, oh, our generation never talks to one another. Well, if we're told at a young age we can't talk to each other, I mean, does that make any sense to y'all? But that's what I got, man. Happy Sunday. Stay blessed. All love 2019. I just think it's important for us to remember in this day and age, it's so important to remain as ourselves and not be controlled. Don't let ourselves be influenced by negative people or negative thoughts. Constantly, we view ourselves so critical on how our Instagram or how our Twitter or how our YouTube is doing Twitter or YouTube to me is not a social media platform. It's more of like a TV platform. I don't know how to describe, more of an entertainment platform. But me personally, I'm not going to let a number on a screen define who I am. Yes, my NBA video that I spent about 12 hours working on only has 600 views in the first 36 hours. Y'all think that's going to define me? You guys think I'm going to stop being myself just because of a number on a screen and I wasn't pleased with the expectations that I had going into it for a view count? I've been worrying less and less about view counts lately. Yo, obviously college is a huge... I'm not going to say college. I'm going to say post-high school career in this time of my life is very important. I'm still working out some details with the company down in Florida on something I might do with them. I'm still working on what I might do after I graduate. My family might be moving to another side of the country. So it's a very busy time. And we just have to remember to always stay true to ourselves. And we are told constantly that we can't say this on Twitter. When we were in 8th grade, someone came in and gave us a whole 40-minute speech about social media and what we can't do and how we can't send nudes over Snapchat because that gets reported, how we can't say this on Twitter, how we can't cuss on Twitter, how we can't post this on Instagram because people are going to look at that even if you delete the picture. You guys remember these conversations that we had when social media started really taking a huge hit in our society, especially around 2013 to 2015 when Instagram started being created? You guys remember all those conversations, right? So if we're told at a young age, stop talking to each other, and we are told with social media, we can't say anything that we believe in because it might affect us later in our lives, what the hell are we supposed to talk about then? You guys know what I mean? If we are being constantly told we can't say this, we can't say this, we can't talk at this one, we can't talk at this one, we're going to be scared to talk to each other. So don't blame our generation, y'all. But we can be this generation that stomps on that idea and starts being ourselves. It's that simple, y'all. That's what I love about YouTube, and that's really has changed me as a person. I become so much more of who I truly am, and not being just such a suck up and being such nice manners and oh, you're amazing. We can still be nice, try and be nice to people, but I'm not afraid to share my opinion. Even if it's different from someone else, I'm just going to say how I feel. I'm going to be Vaughn Robinson. I'm going to be V-Rob. You know what I mean? But that's what I got, man. Stay true to yourself. Take some time off this and maybe talk to someone. Talk to a close friend. Talk to someone at school tomorrow. Say bless, y'all. All love 2019. And V-Rob is out this thing, y'all. Peace.